a difficult season, I'd say.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy this season. I enjoyed aspects of it, for sure. It wasn't all bad, but from a overall experience, I did not have fun this year.
I'm sorry to hear that. I did have fun.
That's
I
good.
had a lot of fun.
That's good. And like I said the other day, I don't want to tell other people how to feel.
Yeah.
Feel your own feelings. And if people genuinely enjoyed this season, I authentically respect that, not sarcastically. So I'm glad you had fun. I just hated this so much because it was like there was one scenario that would make the result of this season a disaster, and it happened, and it seemed inevitable for such a long time that the Flames are going to end up missing the playoffs and not drafting in the top 10. It just if there was an inevitability to it that was a dread that I did not enjoy. Yeah.
I will say this year it sounds like it's going to be like a good top 20. Like
Mhm.
that middle range is actually pretty deep. So it's not all terrible, you know. If Tampa wins and Florida's picks pretty low, and
it's lower, yeah, lower than
New
I
Jersey's probably
expected.
going to lose, so that's probably like an 18th round or 18th overall.
Yeah, we just need to make sure those teams don't make the conference finals.
Yeah.
I believe is how the draft order works.
Still 2 first rounds this year.
So yeah.
It's not all for nothing, you know?
Yeah. There's definitely things to be positive about. I just was not having fun.
Yeah, our playoffs just happened a little earlier this year. On the stretch of the regular season.
Yeah, we did not have playoffs. They just happened at the beginning of April instead of the end of April. So to help contextualize my pain, I came up with this idea where we could go through every Flames team since the lockout that missed the playoffs, but also didn't draft top 10.
Okay.
And go through that season and assign a score to it. And the score is twofold. So the first part of the score is how close they were to making the playoffs. So if they were 1 point away, that gets a pain score of 10. If they were 2 points away, it gets a pain score of 9, so on and so forth.
Okay.
And then that's the first part. And then the second part is we can look at who the Flames drafted in that draft and compare it to the top 10 picks. And then for every player in the top 10 that you would rather have versus who the Flames got, that will add 1 point. So the draft, so the playoffs, it's a max score of 10 pain points. The draft is a max score of 10 pain points. Could be 0 on each end too. Okay. And then we'll add it up at the end. I'm actually going to start a note where we can keep track of this. So the first season was the 2009-2010 season.
Right.
I don't know about you, but my Flames childhood, I feel like there was kind of distinct eras. There was the post-lockout. There was defined eras. There was years they were not guaranteed. They made the playoffs every year. They're a perennial playoff team, and then just would always win a game or two, or 2 or 3 games against a legit contender, but could never pull off the magic of 2004 again. They would come close to capturing that magic in the first round, but they lost every time. That was the first era. And then there was the era where they were pretty much the definition of mid for a couple of seasons, where they were always just on the outside of the playoffs, but could never actually get there.
Right.
And then there was like the start of the rebuild once Iginla and everyone was traded and they drafted Monahan and stuff.
Come on, kids.
Yeah. And then 2015 hits and now we're adults.
Right.
But those are like the three eras of my Flames childhood, post 2004, pre-adulthood.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go through all those, and the first one of those seasons was 2009-10, and I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, all of those years kind of blend together. They're those years where they were like good but not good enough. It's when they introduced the Alberta patch on the shoulder. Oh, yeah. I think of that jersey when I think of these Flames teams.
That was the year they traded for Nuff. That was the first time the Flames had ever really traded someone like who is a star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember being.
I was devastated.
I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they were on like some huge losing streak, I think, and then they played Toronto here and absolutely destroyed Toronto to end their losing streak, and then traded Phaneuf. Yeah, right. That's how I remember it. I might have a detail too wrong there, but that's what I remember. I forgot that trade was like the first of these years, 2009, 2010. I forgot that was that specific season. Mm-hmm. Who are some players you think of when you think of, obviously the Phaneuf trade comes to mind right away. Who are maybe some other players you think of in this Flames era?
Oh man.
I think of Olli Jokinen.
Yeah. Oh, true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Camilleri.
Yeah, Mike Camilleri is a big one. Yeah.
Bruce Glencross.
Yeah.
That's about it. No depth on those teams is the problem.
No depth and no number one center. No stud defense. They had good defensemen, but I would say no stud defensemen.
Yeah.
I
Robert here. I don't know when he
left. He was on the first LA Cup team, but I don't forget when he got there.
Okay,
yeah.
He was on Buffalo a bit before that.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I also think of this era as a revolving door of coaches. It was because Daryl was still the coach for 2004, and then was Daryl a coach in 2006, and then he stepped down for and then it was Playfair, Brent Sutter. I think I'm probably all over the place here because again, it's such a blur. Yeah. It's all those seasons were the exact same.
Yeah.
Do we want to contextualize this one a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So the Flames finished. Tied for 9th in the West this season, with a record of 40, 32, and 10 from 90 points. The 8th team in the West was the Colorado Avalanche with 95 points. So they were 5 points away. Let's see here. They were 5 points away from making the playoffs. It looks like they had the tiebreaker over Colorado. So that's a season pain score of 5.
Okay.
If we go to the draft, the Flames did not have their first this year. I can't remember how or who they traded it for. I don't know if you can pull that off the top of your head.
No,
I can look it up.
It's probably from the summer before.
Yeah.
Trying to beef up.
Yeah. Probably. I'll pull up that after we look at the draft. I'll pull up that. So what we have to do here is we have to compare each player in the top 10 versus who the Flames drafted, and in the first round. In this case, the Flames drafted no one. So we're gonna have to compare this player to no one.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll start at the top of the draft. This was the first of Edmonton's lottery wins. This is the Taylor Hall draft.
Right.
So would you rather have Taylor Hall or nobody?
Yeah, Taylor Hall.
Okay, I take Taylor Hall too. Would you rather have Tyler Seguin or nobody?
Seguin.
That's 2 points. Yeah. Seguin. Would you rather have future Flame Eric Goodbranson or nobody?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would take Eric Goodbranson over nobody. Would you take Ryan Johansson or nobody?
Johansson.
I would take, that's 4. Would you rather have Nino Niederreiter or nobody?
Nino.
Yeah, I would do that too. Would you rather have Brett Connolly or nobody?
Connolly.
Do you want me to read off his career stats?
No, I think he had a couple of really good seasons.
He was okay. He had 100 goals, 200 points in his career, 500 games.
Yeah, I'd still take him over any of the Flames have made the last 5 years.
Would you rather take Jeff Skinner or nobody?
Jeff Skinner.
Yeah. Would you rather take Alex Burmistrov or nobody?
Burmistrov.
Would you rather take Mikhail Granlund or nobody?
Granlund.
Okay, this one might actually be tough. Would you rather take Dylan McIlrath or nobody?
Nobody.
All right, so 9?
Yeah.
All right. I'll look up that trade too.
Because then really it's who are they traded for versus those players.
That's true too. That's true. Yeah. But I want to keep the exercise the way it is.
Yeah.
Because I want Well, they keep it consistent, but also I want the Flames to build through the draft. I want them to stop spending first round draft capital.
Absolutely.
I
not even just first round draft capital.
Yeah, I agree.
We can talk about that when we get to more recent.
Yes, we can. While I look this up here, that kind of reminds me. Like, I feel like there's been a bit of. I put this on my story yesterday, so I'm sorry if this is repetitive, but there's been a lot of talk recently. Like, this team was a young team that finished ninth. Those old teams, they were those old teams that Flames teams that finished ninth. They were old veteran teams. It's like, and I thought about it. It's like this team was led by Huberdeau, acquired by trading a younger player and then signing Huberdeau to a retirement contract. Weegar trading a younger player to acquire him and then signing to a retirement contract. Kadri, UFA, who we traded a pick away for to open up cap space to spend in free agency.
And also
Coleman, free agent, and then Backlund and Anderson. But this team is like, the reason it might feel some familiar is because like this still was a veteran team that just had some young pieces. But it's still a very veteran team.
It feels older than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got the trade here. Are you ready for it? Oh, hang on. Where'd it go? I've got the trade here. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
All right. Calgary's first round pick went to Phoenix as a result of a trade on March 4th, 2009 that sent Olli Jokinen and Phoenix's third round pick in the 2009 entry draft to Calgary in exchange for Matthew Lombardi, Brandon Prust, and Calgary's option of a first round pick in 2009 or 2010. This pick. So it was the year before when they traded for Jokinen, and then it ended up being 13 overall, which the Coyotes used to select Brandon Gormley, which probably wasn't a big loss, but the very next pick after Brandon Gormley was Jaden Schwartz, and then 2 picks later, Vladimir Tarasenko.
Yeah, rough.
All right, so that first one had a score of 14, five pain points from the playoffs, 9 from the draft. We can move on now to the very next season, 2010, 2011. Let's go there. Again, these all blur
I can't tell
together.
you anything about that team. It's the same from the year before.
Everything we just said applies to this because again, these ones are all a blur to me as well. We were younger, but also this felt like the exact same team year after year. Okay. All right. This in 2010, 2011, the Flames finished in 10th in the West with a record of 41, 29, and 12 for 94 points. They were 3 points back of Chicago, who was the 8th seed. It doesn't look like they had the tiebreaker, so they would have needed 4 points. So we'll give that a pain score of 6, and we'll go to the draft. The Flames actually did select a player, so we'll actually have a player to compare with this time,
okay.
Which will make it a little more interesting at least. If it loads. There we go. Okay, do you know or do you have an idea of who the Flames drafted in this draft, in the 2011 draft?
That's the Gaudreau draft, right? But he was a 5th round or something.
I think he was
3rd round?
I thought he was 13. I could be wrong. I could look it up. I could check quickly.
I think TJ Brody was that draft too, maybe?
Yeah, but I think he was later.
He was later. I don't know who the first rounder was.
The first rounder was Sven Barchi.
Oh, of course. Yeah. He is 13 overall.
Yeah. And again, I know we traded Sven for a second that became Anderson. So I don't want us to compare Anderson to the player. We're just comparing straight up Sven.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So this was Edmonton's 2nd consecutive first overall. They took Ryan Nugent-Hopkins this year. Would you rather have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins or Sven Barchi?
Huge.
Would you rather have Gabriel Landeskog or Sven Barchi?
Yeah, I'll take Katie now.
This is going to be interesting. Would you rather have Jonathan Huberdeau or Sven Barchi?
Sven Barchi.
I'll take Huberdeau because you get Huberdeau's prime years with
true.
this.
Yeah, you're right.
Would you rather have Adam Larson or Sven Barchi?
Adam Larson.
Would you rather have Ryan Strome or Sven Barchi?
Ryan Strome.
Would you rather have Mika Zibanejad or Sven Barchi?
Mika too.
Would you rather have Mark? Would you rather have Mark Scheifele or Sven Barchi? This is a deep draft.
Yeah, this is a good draft.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or, yeah. Would you rather have Sean Couturier or Sven Barchi?
Wow.
Yeah. Would you rather have Dougie Hamilton or Sven Barchi? Would you rather have Jonas Brodin or Sven Barchi?
Brodin.
This was a stacked draft.
Was Barchi the first bad pick? Like
No, the first bad pick was the very next pick. The 11th overall guy played 20 NHL games. Duncan Siemens.
Okay.
It was like the top 10 was all really good.
Yeah.
And then 3 bad picks, and then Jamie Alexiak and JT Miller, Joel Armia. So the Flames got like one of 3 bad players in the first 16 picks of this draft. Oh man! So we're giving that a 10.
Yeah, at least they got Brody. Good job.
Yeah. Sorry, I might have misspoke. This was the 2011 draft. Yeah. So we'll go the next season now is the 3rd consecutive season of this era of our childhood, the 11-12 season, in which let's see here. So the Flames again this very next season, we're top 10 in the draft. We're not in the playoffs. Let's see here. It's loading. The Flames this season finished with a record of 37, 29, and 16 overtime losses. That's familiar. For a final of 90 points. They were 5 points back of the eventual Stanley Cup champion LA Kings. They probably would have had the tiebreaker if they turned more of those into wins. So we'll say that they were 5 points back. So a season Payne scored 5. If this loads. I don't think this Flames team was capable of doing what that LA team did.
No.
I don't know if that's a hot take. But they were right there.
Yeah.
And the Flames did have their first this year. I can't remember who off the top of it was, but we will once again be comparing a player for this one. Just have to pull up who that is. Okay, this one will be fun. So the 2012 NHL entry draft. Do you have a guess of who the Flames took that year?
Is that Jankowski?
That was Jankowski. They traded down. I don't remember I don't have the exact trade pulled up, but they did trade down to take him. So with that, this was Edmonton's 3rd straight year of drafting first overall.
This is the Yakupov.
This is the Yakupov. So would you rather have Nail Yakupov or Mark Jankowski?
Jankowski.
I would take Jankowski.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Ryan Murray or Mark Jankowski?
I think Jankowski.
I think I would too. Would you rather have Alex Galchenyuk or Mark Jankowski?
Jankowski.
He's coming up big here. Would you rather have Griffin Reinhart or Mark Jankowski?
Jankowski.
Yeah, 4 for 4. This is maybe where I'll start to change. Would you rather have Morgan Riley or Mark Jankowski?
Yeah.
Would you rather have Hampus Lindholm or Mark Jankowski? Would you rather have Matt Dumba or Mark Jankowski?
Over career, definitely Dumba.
Yeah, he played 300 more NHL games.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Derek Pouliot or Mark Jankowski?
Pouliot.
I don't know about
not now, but over over their whole career.
All right, so that's 4. Would you have Jacob Trouba or Mark Jankowski? Trouba, yeah. And would you rather have Slater Cuckoo or Mark Jankowski?
I don't know what Cuckoo's doing now.
Mark Jankowski played 260 more. Yeah, he played.
So I'll just take Jankowski.
Yeah, I would take Jankowski. So that was. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players we'd rather have. That's a good job, Mark Jankowski. You held your own here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark Jankowski played about 260 more games in his career than Slater Cuckoo did. So
didn't he have that 4-goal or 3-goal game at the end of a season to take us out of the lottery win?
Yes, but that lottery win would have gone to
Someone else.
the Islanders anyway. So Flames hero.
Right.
And somewhere, Jay Feaster is laughing. Okay, we can now get out of this mid-Flames era because after the 11-12 season came the 12-13 where the Flames tore it down. They actually were bad for a couple of years and made the playoffs. So the next season that we can jump forward to would be the 2017-2018 season. So we can jump forward 6 years in time. And while I get there, do you have any prevailing thoughts on that? Any lasting thoughts from that season? Anything come to mind?
That was the Yager year. Yeah.
Yes, Yager at the beginning of the year. Yeah.
That was the year after they got swept, right?
Yes. Correct. And they actually they came into the year with some. I had high expectations. Even though they got swept by Anaheim, I was like, we fought hard with Anaheim every single game of that series.
There was a couple bad bounces and bad penalties.
Yeah. I was like, we're the last couple of years we've been a playoff level team, and this will be our first year being a comfortable playoff team, maybe win a series. That's what I came into the season with those expectations. And then they were in the hunt for a playoff spot well into the season. And then the wheels just came off in March, I want to say, where Monahan was playing hurt, Smith got hurt, and when he was actually having a good season, and they just absolutely tanked to finish the year. So
that was also the year that Bennett and Klimchuk, I think, were feeling bust.
It was
Klimchuk, the end of the Iggy trade. The Iggy trade was completely terrible.
Yeah, yeah. We had definitively lost the Iginla trade at this point in time. So I remember being really into that team because beginning of the year I had high expectations and it looked like they were going to be a playoff team, and then just the March from all hell broke loose. Yeah, and it was awful. That's how I remember that season. I
think that's the year that Jankowski scored the hat trick at the end.
Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah, so that was a good segue.
So we didn't even have a first that year.
No, this was the year we traded our first unprotected for Travis Hamonic.
Oh yeah, I feel of all of the mismanaged assets, that was probably top 3 in the last 15 years.
I think that was Brad's single worst transaction.
Yeah. I mean, you could say the Huberdeau. For Kachuk too, but that was more the signing after that.
Yeah, and I also believe that signing was from ownership. I blame ownership for that signing less than Brad. It's partly Brad's fault, but I think ownership shouldn't have been letting a Cavalier GM make those decisions. So I don't hold them as accountable. I think I think the Hamonic trade was the single worst transaction.
I agree. Yeah. Single worst.
Yeah. Okay, so the Flames this year finished with a record of 37, 35, and 10 for 84 points. The 8th team in the West was the Colorado Avalanche, who finished with 95. So they were 11 points back. So that's a pain score of 0 because they weren't even that close.
Yeah.
So this. And again, this is the second time we'll be comparing the top 10 to nobody.
Yeah.
Because again, this was the Hamonic trade in which that pick ended up becoming Noah Dobson at 12. So we could have had Noah Dobson at 12, but instead we got Travis Hamonic.
Yeah, it wasn't just it was a first and 2 seconds.
Yeah, there was other picks too. Yeah, it was really bad.
And then Hamonic didn't even report the team in the COVID
in the bubble. Yeah. Yeah,
that was brutal.
Yeah. Okay, so would you rather have nobody or Rasmus Dahlin?
Dahlin.
Would you rather have nobody or Andrei Svechnikov?
Svechnikov. This is so sad.
Would you rather have nobody or Jesperi Kotkaniemi?
Kotkaniemi.
Would you rather have nobody or Brady Tkachuk?
Chuck.
Would you rather have nobody or Barrett Hayton? Would you rather have nobody or Philip Zadina?
Zadina.
That's close though, right? That one's close.
Is it?
I feel like Zadina's pretty
Isn't
big
he-
bust.
I don't even. Is that not the center on Boston?
I think,
Someone else.
or is that Zaka?
That's Zach.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Zach.
Yeah. Would you rather have nobody or Quinn Hughes? Would you rather have nobody or Adam Boqvist? Would you rather have nobody or Vitaly Krastov? He played 64 career NHL games. Do we want to say nobody?
Nobody.
All right. Would you rather have nobody or Evan Bouchard?
Nobody.
I'm going to put us down for 9 on that one. Okay. All right. The next season would be the Canadian bubble season because they made the playoffs the next couple of years. So, I mean, Canadian bubble season, I describe it as Groundhog Day. It's just like the same thing happening over and over again against the same opponents over and over again, and these weird mini series.
I was so excited going into that year and felt like it was a bit of a lockout year just because of COVID.
Yeah.
The big off season, the long off season,
Mm-hmm.
and it was looking good for the Flames. Like there were some weak teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looked like they were going to make the playoffs for sure. Like
it
was guaranteed.
I had playoff expectations that year too, and then I remember the start was okay, like the first 5 or 6 games, and then I just remember that team consistently would get caved in the first period. It was like the other team was ready to play, and the Flames were ready to play ring around the rosy.
Yeah, they just had no energy.
No, yeah, that was
Cameron's team, right?
No, this was Jeff Ward.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
Dave Cameron's power play?
That was 18.
That was 18.
Yeah,
okay.
that was the last season we reviewed.
The Brouwer play. That was the Brouwer play.
Yeah, the Brouwer play. Yeah.
2018.
Yeah, genius. What else about this was this season? Tkachuk tried to single-handedly fight the entire Toronto Maple Leafs, and the quote "it can't be a riot every night" emerged after that. The team telling him that.
Yeah.
Which
that hurt the locker room.
Yeah,
that hurt him staying.
Yeah, that's aged terribly.
Yeah,
because it's a riot every night in Florida, and they're cup contenders.
Yeah, for sure.
This was a brutal season. This was probably one of the lowest points of my fandom. I just felt like I was on trade Gaudreau blowing. I was ready to rebuild then.
There was talks about that.
Yeah. Because he was entering in last year.
Either.
Yeah.
They could not beat the Sens.
No.
They're terrible.
The Flames were so bad against the Sens that the Sens didn't even finish last in the Canadian division this year. They were 1 point ahead of Vancouver.
Because they did so well against the Flames.
Yeah, exactly. In the end, the Flames had a record of 26, 27-3 for 55 points. And because this division was so mid, they were only 4 points away from making the playoffs.
Yeah, we're under the wire.
And I also remember them rehiring Daryl. I legit remember when they rehired Daryl, I thought it was someone pranking me. I didn't think it had been so long since he had been a coach. I thought it was an April Fool's prank.
I remember being so excited too, though.
And then once I knew it was real, I was like, we're getting the band back together. Let's go.
Yeah. It's 0-4 again.
Yeah. And then
100% like a finals.
I remember that team played with Daryl, they played Montreal a bunch, and they had to beat them to catch them. And they won they didn't win enough of those games, but they won a majority of them, and they actually almost caught them.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a garbage. I hate that season was brutal.
So did they hire Sutter mid-season?
Mid-season,
I don't remember that.
Yeah. That was probably the happiest moment from that season for me. Yeah, there's nothing else good that happened. Man. By the end of it, I was just so out on that core and that team.
Yeah.
Next year would change everything, but in that moment, I was just there's nothing about this team I like. Okay, so I'll give that a pain score of 6 since they finished 4 points out of the playoffs. And this was the year we drafted Matt Coronado. And it's going to be a bit harder to evaluate the draft because these are all going to be young players now. But
they're all just
yeah,
This is where it's interesting, though. Where you actually like, would you rather?
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, would you rather have Matt Coronado or Owen Power?
Owen Power.
Would you rather have Matty Beniers or Matt Coronado?
Beniers.
Would you rather have Mason McTavish or Matt Coronado?
McTavish.
Would you rather have Luke Hughes or Matt Coronado?
Luke Hughes.
Would you rather have Kent Johnson or Matt Coronado?
Kent Johnson. This is a D draft as well. Wow.
Yeah, actually, it's still early and it
Yeah.
looks good. Would you rather have Simone Edvinsson or Matt Coronado?
Ooh, Edvinsson. He's good.
He is good. Would you rather have William Eklund or Matt Coronado?
I think I'd take Eklund still.
It's close, but
Yeah,
I would
it's
take
getting
Eklund.
close,
That's the close one. Would you rather Brant Clark or Matt Coronado?
Ooh. I could go either way. I'll say Clark.
Yeah, I think it's close for me, but just position
Yeah.
premium on D versus right wing
We
is a
can
little.
use a lefty. We
Yeah.
got lots of righties.
Yeah, exactly. Would you rather Dylan Gunther or Matt Coronado?
It's also close, but Gunther for sure. Yeah.
And would you rather have Tyler Boucher or Matt Coronado?
Don't know who that is.
He has not played in the NHL yet. I would rather have Matt Coronado.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, again, Matt Coronado, really good player. This was just a really good draft, and it just shows you the value in drafting high.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Coronado could be a perennial 30-goal scorer too. It's hard to say.
It's true. After Coronado was kind of the last player of like the top of the draft, and then it kind of falls off from him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's other guys who have potential, like Zach Bolduc just got in for St. Louis, and there is one big player who was drafted later, Wyatt Johnson.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like the Flames were at the very edge of that cliff, kind of.
Yeah.
With this draft, like they kind of got probably like the last really good prospect in this draft, I would say, before it kind of took a dip down. So just in the nick of time. So unfortunately, despite his best efforts and despite us both really liking him, we have to give that draft score a pain of 9. Okay. Now we go to, I think, the most painful Flame season I've ever been through. 2022, 2023. Brad's piece de resistance.
The year after the summer of Brad.
The year after the summer of Brad. Set the record for 1-goal losses, overtime losses, outshooting your opponent by 10, 20, 30 and losing. Literally
double almost every night.
Yeah. Losing every single game that year felt like a gut punch. Like, it was just a dumb regular season game, but every loss, somehow they found a way to make it more painful than the last.
Mm-hmm. Huberdeau had the biggest drop off in history.
Yep.
Markstrom is a sub 900 save percentage.
Yep.
Kadri had a terrible start, but I think he picked it up by the end.
Yeah.
I think he's just a slow starter.
Maybe. Yeah. Uyghur kind of had a slow start in his first year with the team. What else? Just like the oldest veteran team you could possibly assemble.
Yeah.
Didn't even make the playoffs. After starting the season like 5-0-1.
Yeah. It was really rough.
Yeah. So they finished with a record of 38-27 and 17 overtime losses.
This team isn't built for 3-on-3 or something. It's not a foot speed or something.
Yeah, it's almost like this team lacks elite talent to win 3-on-3. They were 2 points behind Winnipeg. Most definitely would not have had the tiebreaker, so we'll say 3. So that is a pain score of 7. But I'm going to add 17 bonus points from all the. No,
I mean, they don't have 3-on-3 in the playoffs.
I actually people say this all the time. Like we would have, if we made it, we would have played Vegas, and that was the one year we actually played Vegas really well during the regular season. And Markstrom seemed to have turned it around down the stretch that year. I do think if they made the playoffs, they might have done some damage they could have been Daryl's 2012 LA Kings Part 2. I believe that. We'll never know.
Yeah,
I can never be proven right or wrong, but I do believe that. Yeah. And if you feel differently, I don't blame you, but I do think that could have been like we could have. I'm not saying we would have, but we could have beaten Vegas and potentially gone on a run. But Daryl got fired, the GM left, and we didn't get a top 10 pick out of all of that. So, are you ready to review this draft?
Right. Yeah.
All right. So this was the Sam Honzek year.
Okay.
Another deep draft. See, that's a theme. Seems turns out there's good players in the top 10 of the draft. Who knew?
Great players in the top 5.
Who figured? All right. Would you rather have Connor Bedard or Sam Honzek?
Bedard.
Would you rather have Leo Carlson or Sam Honzek?
Carlson.
Would you rather have Adam Fantilli or Sam Honzek?
Fantilli.
Would you rather have Will Smith or Sam Honzek?
Smith.
Would you rather have David Reinbacher or this is actually kind of where it gets interesting. Would you rather have David Reinbacher or Sam Honzek?
I think Honzek just because of position.
Like because he could like be a center, left wing, right wing.
Yeah, like he's probably going to be a bottom 6, a good bottom 6 player.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, and Reinbacher was kind of like Montreal's one mistake of the rebuild. Would you rather have Dmitry Simashev or Sam Honzek?
I don't know much about him.
I can look him up quickly. I think Simashev was also like with the H pick. He is only played in the K. He's a defenseman. He's only played in the KHL this year. He put up 6 points in 56 games in the KHL, which is trending on bust territory. It's early, but
Honzek for sure.
Yeah. Would you rather have Matvei Michkov or Sam Honzek?
Oh, man. Michkov.
Would you rather have Ryan Leonard or Sam Honzek?
Leonard.
Would you rather have Nate Danielson or Sam Honzek?
I can that one? Yeah, he's a center, right?
He's listed as a center. He has 40 points in 70 games in the A this year. I feel like that's pretty similar to Honzek.
I think I'd take him now.
I think he probably projects more as a center.
I think when he was drafted, he was kind of like a Backlund-esque guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Libor Dvorsky or Sam Honzek? Another center, who I think is now playing for the Blues.
Oh yeah, he's playing.
He's got 2 career NHL games, but I think he just got called up. I would take Dvorsky.
Yeah.
So let's see. What was that? 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 8 players because we didn't take the 2D. So it's a pain score of 8. Okay.
Honzek did start the year in the top line, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
He had a good training.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He did a really good training camp.
Yeah.
I was excited.
Yeah. And then he got blasted over in one game, missed the rest of that game, came back the next game and looked scared, so they sent him down.
Right.
Which is, I mean, it's his D+2 year.
Yeah.
It's playing the AHL is fine. I think my thing with Honzek, I feel like some people are worried about him. I feel like that's fair. I think next year I wouldn't say next year is make or break. Next year I would like it's his D+3 year. So that was the year Coronado was in the AHL and basically was a point per game.
Right.
I'd like to see Honzek either playing in the NHL or close to a point per game in the AHL next year, which I think is possible. I can pull up his stats from the AHL this year. He had 21 points in 50 AHL games this year, so not great, but still early. I think next year isn't make or break. Next year is like the indicator year for him.
Yeah. I think in general, the 2023 Flames draft is mostly going to be like depth guys. I don't see anyone with a ton of skill in there.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of good, solid depth pieces.
I think there's lots of probable NHLers.
Yeah.
Like I'm high on Maren. He's like one of our few left-handed D prospects who was our second rounder that year, and Suniev is playing tonight. So
we'll see.
We'll see.
He's got good numbers in the NCAA.
Yeah, so I think even if Honzek doesn't pan out, Moran and Suniev are trying to make up at least, which kind of helps insulate that. Now we can't review the draft quite yet for this season because this season is the next installment in the Flames, not drafting top 10, not being in the playoffs. But we can assign a point scorer to. Well, I guess we can't because they haven't finished playing their 82nd game yet. So we'll have to, once the draft is over, we'll have to reevaluate then.
Yeah,
I would say with what this season gets on the mid-pain index. But something worth noting is when we do this exercise for this year, we'll have to compare the player we get with Florida's pick to whoever the Flames get, because that is basically that. It's because the New Jersey pick has nothing to do with where we finished.
Right.
The Florida pick has something to do with where we finished. So, well, once the draft happens, we can do that exercise.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if we can get another draft like last year, I think, trade a few veterans so we get a few more depth pieces, and then hopefully one of those hits is a superstar. We have like a Dallas Stars whenever they had that draft where it was like Heiskanen, Robertson, sorry.
That's the most interesting thing with last year's draft class for me, because we all hope and expect Zane to be a star because he was drafted high and he had a good season.
Yeah.
But they're like a lot of prospect nerds said the Flames probably got 2, maybe even 3 stars in this draft. We just don't know who they are yet.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be really interested to see like if like one of our other picks from that draft ends up being a star, whether it's Gridden or Basha or Battaglia or Muse or Misa. Like all those guys have had great seasons this year. But not all those guys are going to hit.
There's not enough spots for all of them.
Yeah, that's not how prospects work. But I'm excited to see if 2 of those guys, 1 or 2 of those guys can like become stars that were just like absolute steals for the Flames.
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited for when it comes to that draft.
Yeah, and I had actually an interesting kind of I looked at all of the trades that Easter did in 2020 for the 2022 run, like the year like following up.
Brad?
Up. Yeah. And basically, where is this? Like
you looked at
all the trades that
he made in 2022 for the playoff run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because he traded a ton of picks in that year.
Yeah.
Let's see. So they traded a first, a second, Emil Heineman, who's the main piece in the Bennett trade.
Mm-hmm.
Now
he's with Montreal.
Montreal, yeah. He plays in the bottom 6 there.
Yeah.
3/3, a 4th, 2 5ths, and a 7th.
He traded all of that in 1 year.
He traded all of that in a year.
He traded more than 1 draft class.
Is a draft class and like 4/3 basically.
I didn't realize it was that much.
For Vladar.
Yeah.
Toffoli.
Yeah.
Yarn Krog.
Yeah.
He scored 1 goal in 29 games.
Yeah.
And 8 games with Ryan Carpenter.
Oh my God.
One assist from Ryan Carpenter. So basically a draft class and a half.
Yeah.
For Vladar, backup goalie.
Yeah.
And a year and a half Toffoli.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
This just gave me an idea. One day over the summer, we're just gonna sit and we're gonna go through every single trade Brad made. we're just gonna list it off. It's gonna be like, for the listener, it's gonna be like listening to a Wikipedia article. We're just gonna go through every trade and react to it, because I knew he made like, because I didn't think of Vladar because that was preseason, but I knew he did make 2 big trades at the trade deadline that year to get to Foley and Yarn Krog. But I completely forgot about Brian fucking Carpenter, and didn't realize he gave up that many pieces for depth wingers.
Tyler Pitlick was also in there, but then they traded him in getting to Foley, so I kind of just negated that he didn't include him.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he was in there too.
But they gave up picks to get Tyler Pitlick.
Yeah.
And then trade him to Montreal.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, just that, and I think that year is just, it kind of set the Flames back a whole another year in their rebuild. If they don't rebuild.
Oh yeah, I can pull up their 22 draft class.
They had 3 picks in 22. The top being Topi Roney, and he just got like put in jail.
Yeah.
Sexual harassment.
Yeah.
And then 2 guys that have been busted.
And a 6th and a 7th, I think.
Yeah.
Like that. So it's like you have 10% of them signing a contract.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, no, that 2022 draft was it's a black hole when it comes to like the Flames.
It's negative.
There's nothing in there. That whole run set this franchise back so far because of all the picks you just mentioned being traded in 2022, and then Brad going all in on like this old aging veteran core that not only did he give up young assets to acquire those players, but now those players are keeping us in the mushy middle. Like somehow, like Brad hasn't been our GM for 2 years now, and somehow it keeps getting worse, bro.
Yeah.
It's like he hasn't even been here to do anything wrong, and it's like his moves keep getting worse and worse and worse. All I can hope for is he does the exact same thing to Toronto.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he probably will.
Yeah.
He already started.
Yeah. Scott Lawton.
Yeah. Oh man. The other thing I noticed with all those trades too is the Flames gave up so many picks just trying to get a goalie that hit. Like Elliott, Eddie Lack, Mike Smith. Like that was all basically a whole other draft class.
Just trying to find
a goalie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking like, oh, the Flames should just trade Wolf and get like totally bomb for McKenna. But,
yeah.
Like if you have to trade so much to find another goalie, then it's not worth it.
I think it cuts two ways because they did spend a lot to find a goalie, and we're very unsuccessful in finding a goalie. But at the same time, I feel like the Flames are actually drafting goalies better now. Like,
yeah, Sergeyev looks good too.
Yeah,
he could turn out.
So, well, we'll see.
Yeah,
that's a good thought to keep in mind though, especially if the Flames can or can't develop other goalies. Because the Flames chased a goalie for a really long time, and as you pointed out, gave up quite a few assets to find nothing.
Yeah.
Jonas
Hiller.
Yeah. And then they just signed one in free agency anyways, and then Conroy turned that into futures.
Yeah, that was a great trade.
Yeah.
The ball's been great this year.
The more we talk about Brad, the more happy I am with like Conroy.
Oh yeah.
Like if you look at like the Toffoli, Lindholm, I would say the Toffoli, Lindholm, and Markstrom trades are all like home run wins.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like his signing of Sharangovich right now, but he picked it up in the end of the season here. So
yeah. He's a streaky guy. I think he'll
yeah.
bounce back next year.
Yeah, hopefully his injury, he's fully recovered next year and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
But how about the Farabee trade too? Like just that contract's got 3 or 4 more years on it, or $5 million. He's like our 4th highest paid forward now.
Yeah,
that's kind of rough.
Yeah, I see it as they'll get us to the cap floor.
True.
But
true.
And at least it's not like 8 years or 6 years.
Yeah, I guess he's also like a roster spot from someone else who might deserve it more.
That is, I honestly, that's
like
that's the tougher thing with Farabee. Yeah, that's the tougher thing with Farabee for me. If he like doesn't play well next year, then it's like he's just like an NHL roster clogger. If he doesn't perform better.
He's got such a weird track record too. He's basically been the same player since his 18-year-old season. Like he's 0.5 points per game.
Yeah,
0.6 points.
But he never like took off.
He never improved from that.
Immediately jumped in at a high level and stayed there.
Exactly.
Yeah. We'll see. I always think players getting traded mid-season who go east to west have it tough because of the travel.
That's true.
So I think, and I really liked Frost.
Yeah.
And the production finally kind of started to like come for him at the end of the season.
I'm a big Frost fan for sure. He made our power play watchable.
Yeah. I don't know what Frost's ceiling is, but I like him. I'm not ready to go fully long term on him because he's an RFA. But I like what I've seen so far from him.
The ceiling's middle 6.
Yeah. But is it the upper end of middle 6? Like, is he a really good 2C or is he just like a 3? Is he a 3C? That's a big difference.
Yeah, and I guess people are talking like he had a kind of similar trajectory to Lindholm when he first came here. So that would be kind of nice.
That'd be nice.
Put the game center.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. This was fun, man. I enjoyed going through this.
For sure.